In the beginning of 2001, Encyclopedia Britannica stood as the undisputed monarch of human knowledge, a 233-year-old institution that had survived the American Revolution, 2 world wars, and the rise of the Internet itself. With 32 leather-bound volumes weighing in at 129 pounds and costing $1,400 per set, Britannica represented the pinnacle of scholarly achievement. Their 4,000 expert contributors included Nobel Prize winners, university professors, and world-renowned specialists who spent months crafting each meticulously researched entry. The company employed 100 full-time editors, working from offices in Chicago, with revenues exceeding $650 million annually from their print editions, CD-ROMs, and newly launched online subscription service. Britannica wasn't just an encyclopedia. It was the gatekeeper of what constituted legitimate, authoritative knowledge in the pre-digital age. Their editorial process was legendary in its rigor. Each article underwent multiple rounds of peer review, fact-checking by specialists, and approval by editorial boards before publication. The waiting list for their print editions stretched for months, and universities around the world considered ownership of the complete set a mark of institutional prestige. This was the empire that ruled the kingdom of knowledge when Jimmy Wales decided to launch an experimental project that would challenge everything Britannica represented. On January 15, 2001, Jimmy Wales and Larry Sanger launched Wikipedia with a radical proposition that seemed almost laughably naive to the established order. Anyone could edit articles about anything, and somehow, through the collective efforts of amateur volunteers, they would create an encyclopedia that could rival centuries of scholarly tradition. The concept was built on Wiki software, developed by Ward Cunningham in 1995, which allowed multiple users to edit web pages directly through their browsers, without any special technical knowledge. Wales, who had made his fortune in finance and adult entertainment websites, was inspired by Friedrich Hayek's essay, The Use of Knowledge in Society, which argued that dispersed individuals often possess specialized knowledge that centralized authorities lack. The Wikipedia model was breathtakingly simple. Create an open platform where anyone could contribute their expertise on subjects they knew well, rely on the community to self-police for accuracy and neutrality, and assume that the collective intelligence of thousands of contributors would eventually overcome the limitations of individual bias or error. In those early days, Wikipedia had fewer than 20,000 articles, most of them stubs containing just a few sentences, and the entire project operated on a shoestring budget of less than $100,000 per year. The editing community consisted primarily of computer programmers, graduate students, and hobbyists who worked on articles during their spare time, motivated not by monetary compensation, but by the vision of creating free access to human knowledge. Traditional publishers dismissed Wikipedia as an amusing experiment that would never achieve the quality standards necessary for serious reference work. The first cracks in Britannica's armor appeared not from direct competition, but from the changing behavior of information seekers in the digital age. Google launched in 1998, and by 2003 had become the dominant search engine, fundamentally altering how people accessed information. Instead of reaching for heavy volumes on library shelves or paying monthly subscription fees for Britannica Online, users began typing queries into search boxes and expecting instant, free results. Wikipedia's articles, freely available and increasingly comprehensive, began appearing at the top of Google search results for countless topics, while Britannica's paywall-protected content remained largely invisible to casual searchers. The economics were stark. Wikipedia attracted 50 million unique visitors per month by 2005, while Britannica Online struggled to maintain 150,000 paid subscribers, despite offering their entire database for just $70 annually. More troubling for Britannica was the speed at which Wikipedia could respond to breaking news and current events. When the 2004 Indian Ocean tsunami struck on December 26th, Wikipedia's article was created within hours and continuously updated by volunteers around the world who added eyewitness accounts, official casualty figures, and scientific explanations as information became available. Britannica, locked into their traditional publishing cycle, couldn't update their tsunami information until their next scheduled revision months later. The same pattern repeated during major events like the 2005 London bombings, Hurricane Katrina, and the death of Pope John Paul II, where Wikipedia provided comprehensive, up-to-date coverage, while traditional encyclopedias remained frozen in time. In December 2005, the academic world was stunned by a study published in Nature, one of science's most prestigious journals, that directly compared the accuracy of Wikipedia and Encyclopedia Britannica across 42 science articles. The study sent excerpts from both encyclopedias to relevant experts for blind review, meaning the reviewers didn't know which source they were evaluating. The results shattered assumptions about authority and expertise. Wikipedia contained an average of 4 errors per article, while Britannica contained an average of 3 errors per article, a statistically insignificant difference. More shocking was that Wikipedia's errors were primarily minor factual mistakes or unclear explanations, while several of Britannica's errors were more substantial conceptual problems that had persisted through multiple editorial reviews. The study's author, Jim Giles, noted that Wikipedia's open editing process allowed errors to be corrected within days of being identified, while Britannica's errors often remained uncorrected for years between print editions. Britannica's leadership reacted with fury, publishing a detailed rebuttal that criticized the study's methodology and accused Nature of bias, but the damage was done. The Nature study legitimized Wikipedia in academic circles and provided empirical evidence that crowdsourced knowledge creation could match traditional expert curation. Within months, major universities began allowing students to use Wikipedia as a starting point for research, and even some professors began contributing to articles in their areas of expertise. By 2007, Wikipedia had grown into a digital juggernaut that defied every conventional wisdom about publishing and quality control. The English Wikipedia alone contained over 2 million articles, making it 6 times larger than Encyclopedia Britannica's 120,000 entries, while versions in 250 other languages served global communities that traditional encyclopedias had never reached. The volunteer editing community had evolved into a sophisticated ecosystem of contributors with different roles: casual editors who fixed typos and added information, dedicated subject matter experts who maintained articles in their fields, administrators who resolved disputes and blocked vandalism, and a core group of several thousand highly active users who collectively made over 50% of all edits. Wikipedia's 5 core principles, known as the 5 pillars, created a framework for maintaining quality without traditional editorial control: encyclopedia content only, neutral point of view, free content, civility among editors, and flexibility in applying rules. The site processed over 10 million edits per month, with controversial or high-profile articles watched by dozens of editors who could revert vandalism or incorrect changes within minutes. This distributed quality control system proved remarkably effective. Studies showed that deliberate vandalism on Wikipedia was typically corrected within 5 minutes, faster than most traditional publishers could even identify errors. The project operated on an annual budget of just $2 million, funded entirely by individual donations averaging $30 each, compared to Britannica's massive overhead costs for editorial staff, printing, warehousing, and distribution. The psychological and cultural impact of Wikipedia's success extended far beyond simple competition between reference works. It represented a fundamental shift in how society viewed expertise, authority, and the creation of knowledge itself. Traditional gatekeepers, including not just Britannica but academic institutions, professional associations, and credentialed experts, watched in dismay as amateur enthusiasts produced work that matched or exceeded professional standards in many fields. Wikipedia's success demonstrated that passion and intrinsic motivation could be more powerful than monetary incentives, that transparent peer review by interested volunteers could rival closed expert evaluation, and that the sum of distributed human knowledge exceeded what any centralized institution could compile. The Wikipedia effect began influencing other industries as companies realized that user-generated content, properly managed, could compete with professionally produced material at a fraction of the cost. The project also revealed the hidden biases and limitations of traditional publishing. Wikipedia's global contributor base provided perspectives on topics that Western-dominated reference works had historically ignored or marginalized, while the platform's transparency allowed readers to see exactly how articles were constructed, what sources were used, and how editorial decisions were made. Academic researchers studying Wikipedia discovered that articles improved most rapidly when they attracted editors with diverse backgrounds and perspectives, contradicting traditional assumptions that expertise required formal credentials or institutional affiliation. Encyclopedia Britannica's death spiral accelerated as the company struggled to adapt their centuries-old business model to the new reality of free, immediately accessible information. Print sales, which had already declined from their 1990 peak of 120,000 sets annually, collapsed to fewer than 12,000 sets by 2010, as libraries, schools, and individual collectors abandoned physical reference works for digital alternatives. The company's attempts to compete with Wikipedia proved costly and ineffective. Britannica Online remained behind a paywall that most users refused to pay. Their attempt to create a wiki-style collaborative platform called Britannica WebShare attracted fewer than 1,000 active contributors, and their social media presence seemed stodgy and defensive compared to Wikipedia's transparent, community-driven culture. More damaging was Britannica's loss of cultural relevance. The encyclopedia that had once been synonymous with authoritative knowledge became a punchline in popular culture, portrayed as an expensive relic of the pre-digital age. Teachers stopped recommending Britannica to students. Librarians canceled their subscriptions in favor of free online resources, and even the company's traditional corporate clients began questioning why they should pay premium prices for information that was available elsewhere at no cost. The final blow came from Britannica's own contributor base. Many of their expert authors began writing for Wikipedia instead, attracted by the platform's larger audience, faster publication timeline, and collaborative editing process that allowed their work to be continuously improved by other specialists. The years 2010 through 2012 marked the final collapse of the traditional encyclopedia industry as Wikipedia achieved complete dominance in the reference market. By 2012, Wikipedia ranked as the 5th most popular website in the world, serving 500 million unique visitors monthly and handling over 19 billion page views, making it more widely read than any publication in human history. The English Wikipedia had grown to over 4 million articles, while the combined 285 language editions contained more than 22 million articles, covering every conceivable topic from quantum physics to pop culture, maintained by a global community of over 100,000 active volunteer editors. Academic acceptance of Wikipedia reached a tipping point as researchers discovered that the platform had become an essential tool for scholarly work. A 2012 study found that 80% of university students used Wikipedia during their research process, while 40% of professors admitted to consulting it regularly, despite often warning their students against citing it directly. The economic devastation for traditional publishers was complete. Encyclopedia Britannica announced in March 2012 that they would cease publication of their print edition after 244 years, laying off their entire print production staff and focusing exclusively on educational software and online services for schools. World Book Encyclopedia, Britannica's main competitor, saw their sales drop by 95% from their 1990s peak, while dozens of smaller encyclopedia publishers simply disappeared from the market entirely. The final chapter of this industry destruction arrived on March 13, 2012, when Encyclopedia Britannica officially announced the end of their print edition, marking the conclusion of the most dramatic knowledge revolution in human history. The company's president, Jorge Caos, acknowledged in interviews that they simply could not compete with Wikipedia's combination of comprehensiveness, currency, and cost-effectiveness, particularly among younger users who had grown up expecting information to be free and immediately accessible. The numbers told the story of a complete industry transformation. Wikipedia's operating costs of $25 million annually served more users than the entire traditional encyclopedia industry had ever reached, while providing information that was updated continuously rather than revised every few years. The volunteer editor community had evolved into the largest collaborative knowledge creation project in history, with contributors ranging from Nobel Prize winners to high school students, all working together under a shared mission of making human knowledge freely available to everyone with internet access. The ripple effects extended throughout the publishing industry as traditional reference publishers, textbook companies, and academic journals grappled with the implications of Wikipedia's success for their own business models. Libraries worldwide began reallocating budgets from expensive reference collections to digital resources and community programming, while educators developed new approaches to teaching information literacy that emphasized evaluation and synthesis skills over simple information retrieval. The Wikipedia revolution had not simply destroyed the encyclopedia industry. It had fundamentally altered humanity's relationship with knowledge itself, democratizing both access to information and participation in its creation in ways that would have seemed impossible just 2 decades earlier. The broader implications of Wikipedia's victory over Encyclopedia Britannica extended far beyond the reference publishing industry, establishing a new paradigm for how knowledge could be created, validated, and distributed in the digital age. This transformation challenged fundamental assumptions about expertise, authority, and the economics of information that had governed human societies for centuries. Wikipedia proved that given the right technological tools and organizational structure, distributed communities of volunteers could outperform traditional institutions in both scale and quality, while operating at costs that made their output freely available to anyone with internet access. The success of Wikipedia's model inspired countless other collaborative projects, from software development platforms like GitHub to citizen science initiatives like Galaxy Zoo, all built on the principle that collective intelligence could solve problems beyond the reach of individual experts or centralized organizations. The encyclopedia industry's destruction served as both warning and inspiration for other knowledge-based industries, demonstrating that technological disruption, combined with changing user expectations, could rapidly eliminate even the most established and respected institutions. In the end, Wikipedia's triumph represented more than just the victory of free content over paid subscriptions, or amateur enthusiasm over professional expertise. It marked the emergence of a new form of human organization that harnessed the internet's connective power to create something unprecedented in scope, ambition, and impact on global society.